Further questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Crane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, there are several questions here, and I think that this issue needs to be printed so that we can have further public testimony. So I'm going to make a motion to introduce to print RS-20192C2.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion? Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Boy, that's magic. I've got to learn that practice.
It's been suggested that we're all aware of the Attorney General's opinion. I'm not privy to what that is other than what I read in the paper. I think that if there's a decision that we're going to make here without having access to that, I would feel very uncomfortable. I think we have an Attorney General's opinion out there, and I'd like to know what that is. And perhaps Representative Barbieri could help me clarify that in my mind.
You'd be willing to do that?
Mr. Chairman, I would not be comfortable. It's a 3.5 page kind of rambling.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Anderson?
If this discussion that you're desirous to make, Representative Barbieri, it does read on the last page that this, under the emergency clause, that this act will have full force if it's passed. I think that's a bit beyond just a discussion. I think it has some pretty compelling consequences, and I wonder if we've actually calculated the cost in the fiscal note. You mentioned on page 4, line 10, that we will exercise the Constitutional Defense Council's fund. Are you aware of what funds are available in that right now?
As my understanding, there's just a...
Barbieri?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Representative Anderson, it's my understanding that there's above $200,000, and the provision was in there specifically so the legislature could withhold money if it became hugely necessary to use it, so that we would have control over whether or not we needed it to defend. The language previously was requiring the Attorney General's office to defend. Now we're just saying that they are allowed to. They may step in. And if it turns out that we need to, the legislature itself sees the need because of the pressing requirements of it, then we may dump more money in that. But certainly there's money in there now, and it's up to the legislature as to whether we continue to fund that fund or not.
Thank you. Just one more follow-up, Mr. Chairman, a comment.
Senator Anderson?
Mr. Chairman, I'm very uncomfortable not having a copy of the Attorney General's report in front of me. I think that it could jeopardize what we do here. If it is out there and available, I think that we all should be privy to what that says, that we can make our own determinations, and until that time, I'm going to have to be opposed to the motion.
Well, I'm sure during part of the hearing that will be discussed at length, what the Attorney General's had to say. So that will be part of the hearing, should this be printed. Is there further discussion on the motion? Representative Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would be my desire that if, when this comes back for a full hearing, that the committee members be provided a copy of the Attorney General's report. Thank you.
I'm absolutely certain that'll happen.
Further discussion on the motion.
Representative Lucre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote to print the bill. However, I do have some concerns about the bill. This is significantly different than our Health Freedom Act last year, which basically set a state policy which was in opposition to the Affordable Health Care Act, but it took a different tact, and it said, we'll see you in court. And this particular bill rejects that option, basically, and says that we don't submit to the constitutional third branch of the government, which is the Supreme Court of the United States. And so I'm sympathetic with the feeling about the Affordable Health Care Act, because I was a drafter of the health care bill last year. And I think this is an important discussion that we need to have. But I am troubled about the concept of nullification. So I'll go ahead and vote to print the bill.
Representative McGeehan.
Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to speak in support of the motion. I would like to have a hearing on this issue. It's important that we have a debate on this. The federal health law is a huge expansion of Medicaid to the population of able-bodied working adults, where we will be forbidden to ask them to help pay for their health care costs. Under current Medicaid law, the states have little flexibility to manage their Medicaid programs, and all healthcare providers are being strangled with excessive regulation. The federal law also imposes costly infrastructure in establishing healthcare exchanges. Again, the federal government will dictate how these exchanges will operate. The states are choking from the federal mandates and regulations, and we are in a fight for survival. With this federal law, we might as well kiss farewell the ability to increase education funding, both K-12 and higher education. We are robbing our youth of prosperity and a future. We have some young people in our committee room today, some pages, and a constituent of mine from the University of Idaho. And one of the individuals I spoke with earlier did also sign a petition to repeal the Obama health care law. I think the youth, many of the youth...
Mr. Chairman, I object. I don't believe that the health care law is called that. I believe it has a title.
The chair will
that.
recognize that as general terminology that's been used in the public for eons.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I respect that, and I most of the time refrain from using that terminology and try to stick with the terminology of the federal health law. But as I said, many of the young people in our culture understand this, and they understand what's happening. In spirit, nullification supports our Constitution because the original intent of the Founding Fathers established a proper balance of power between the national government and the sovereignty of the states. With that, I will vote in support of the motion to introduce the bill.
Further discussion on the motion. Representative Simpson.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to remind members of the committee where the federal health care mandate stands at this point. Last month, Judge Henry Hudson ruled that two provisions of that law are unconstitutional, the provision that requires the purchase of health insurance, and then also the provision that provides a penalty phase for the lack of purchasing health insurance. And of course, Henry Hudson's decision will, if not is, being appealed presently. So thank you. And I'll support the motion, by the way.
Further discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Motion is to introduce RS 20192C2. There will be a roll call vote. Secretary will call the roll.
Vice Chairman Crane.
Aye.
Representative Anderson.
Aye.
Representative Stevenson.
Aye.
Representative Black.
Aye.
Representative Andrus.
Aye.
Representative Bilbao.
Aye.
Representative Lucre.
Aye.
Representative Palmer.
Aye.
Representative Simpson.
Aye.
Representative Guthrie.
Aye.
Representative Henderson.
Aye.
Representative McGeehan. Representative Sims. Representative Batt. Representative Smith.
No.
Representative King.
No.
Representative Higgins.
No.
Representative Buckner Webb.
No.
And Chairman Lurcher.
Aye. (50 ayes, 4 nays). The motion is passed, and the bill will be introduced.